Good morning, everybody. Welcome. We are continuing our vocabulary unit and learning how to break down words using morphemes and affixes, and in other words, root words and affixes to understand the meaning of the word. And so, if we encounter a word and we don't have a dictionary with us or some media device to help us explain what the word is, we're still empowered to break that word down with our knowledge of morphemes, root words, and affixes. Today, in particular, we're going to focus on Greek and Latin root words. So our objective today is to help students master the vocabulary of science by breaking down and building up words using Greek and Latin roots, okay? So if I were to give you a word in, say, a scientific naming or classification of a particular species, how would you go around breaking that down? What would you look for? For example, let's look at the word Ornithoscatoides decipiens. If I were to ask you to break that word down with your knowledge of Latin and Greek roots at this point, what would you say? Okay, so we might be having a little difficulty at this time. And so if we don't know what Ornithoscatoides means just offhand, what could we do? Well, we would break that word down. And you may not know this now, but I will just tell you, ornitho is a Latin root word, and so is scatoides. If you were to look at ornitho, what does that word remind you of? Have you seen that beginning in another word? Maybe in the word ornithology. Is anybody aware of that or what it means? Thank you, Tim. That's right. It means bird or the study of birds. So from that I can deduce ornitho has something to do with birds. Now, scatoides might be a little more difficult. But I'm going to tell you right now, it's kind of the fun part of this word, okay? Anybody have a guess on what scatoides might mean? Alex? Well, let me ask this first. Do I have any hunters in the room? Okay, Alex, thank you. What would be a way of tracking the animal that you're hunting? What do you look for? What's one thing? Tracks. And what might be another? Right, the droppings, okay, the scat. Do you see how that word is in here? Scat. So, scatoides is basically a kind way of saying beep, that, or that, or to be kind of like, fair to those who are offended by total type of humor. We'll just call it droppings, okay? What about decipients? Can we do the same thing with that? What does the word remind you of? Do you see any kind of like similarities to words that you might know already? It's a little more difficult on that one, I think. Well, actually, it's about the same amount of difficulty. But let's look at this picture of what Ornithoscatoides decipient is. Can anybody tell me what that looks like? Okay, it does look like bird poop. What if I was to tell you that that is actually a type of spider, and that decipium is its form of deception, bird poop deception, to keep prey from seeing the actual animal. Okay, so it's a defense mechanism, and it's going to deceive its predators, and so that it can escape being prey, and it will go on to live another day by deceiving everybody, thinking it's a pile of bird poop instead of an actual morsel for a bird passing by in the jungle. Now, on your tables, you'll see that you have a bag as well as a chart of Greek and Latin roots. And what I want you to do is take the bag, I want you to empty out its contents. And what you'll see are a bunch of cards that have words on them, or roots or affixes. And I want you to separate the Greek and Latin affixes from the words that you might recognize regularly. You'll be able to tell if you can't tell the difference just by looking at it when you first look at it by the inclusion of a hyphen before, after, or on both sides of the root word in question. The ones with the hyphens are the Greek and Latin words. The ones that have no hyphens are the words that you are wanting to separate for. We are going to match these words with their Greek and Latin equivalent in order to find out what these Greek and Latin words mean, okay? So at your tables, have one person be in charge of the graph, and let's have somebody and let's have everybody else start matching the words, okay? That's okay. See you later. All right, very good. So now that we have those matched, what I'd like you to do is with your partners, I want you to break down the words that I'm going to show you on the Promethean board and see if you can determine the meaning now that you have put a definition to all of your Greek and Latin root words. And this is what we would do if we didn't have some sort of dictionary or media device in it that could help us with the word that we had a question about, okay? So let's start off with something that I think most of you might recognize. Hydrophobic. Putting your words together with the definitions that you now have and combining the Latin and Greek roots and affixes. Can somebody please tell me what hydrophobic means? Good. We have hydro meaning water. And then we have phobic, meaning fear or fear of something. So hydrophobic would be, yes, a fear of water. Let's try another one. Okay, same thing. Using your cards with the meanings attached, let's go ahead and break down geology. What's the first root word that we're seeing? Geo, right. And what does geo mean? Okay, geo means rock. Ology, what did we come up with that? Study, okay? So geology is the study of rocks. Everybody get the picture there? Good. So what I'd like you to do now, I'm going to give a list of words, and I want you to break down their meaning with the cards that you have in front of you to see if you can tell me what the meanings of these words are. I'm going to give you 10 minutes working together, and we'll come back together at that time. Okay, great job. It looks like most of us are having a pretty easy time here with it, or, you know, for the ones that were challenging, it seems like you have taken what you have in your base of root words here and have been able to figure out many of the words that we have looked at on our chart. Now what I'd like you to do is see if you could come up with some of your own words. And so let's see if you can come up, you know, with the Greek and Latin root words, putting them together, come up with some words that would be sensible and, you know, sound like a word that we could actually use in a sentence in describing something, okay? So in just the same way that we had hydrology put together to mean the study of water, what are some other ones that you can come up with that might actually mean something? All right, Rebecca, that's a very good combination there. What is monolite going to mean? Okay, knowing that mono means one and that light means loose, I guess that could mean a loose one. I'm not sure what we would be describing there, but that's good. That does have a sensibility to it, and I could see that actually becoming a word that could be used in a sense later in some of our writing. All right, very good class. I'd like to thank everybody for their time today. Bell's about to ring. Let's go ahead and clean everything up, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a good day. Bye.